Okay, shalom, shalom, kwam yasha Allah, koholoyim la Yahweh bashim Yahushai, bahashim racha hakodash. Double honors to all apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us His beautiful truth, and just want to take the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is Chanan Nawaf. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And just wanted to touch on this article in Law and Crime. And I have been seeing it over the weekend as well, you know what I'm saying, with this guy right here. He appears to be an Edomite, but, you know, we can't go by appearance alone. But the actions of this is some Edomite shit. I'll put it that way, you know what I'm saying, because, you know, Esau has a different spirit than us, you know, and he has that spirit of the weapon, and he was gifted with that sword. Because you're not really going to hear about no Jake, no so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans bombing no damn clinics and shit like that, man. This is some, you know, when they get to talking about terrorism, see, it's good that they put these people on TV and kind of throw their faces out there, because it gives you it gives you a better knowing state of, okay, what race is really the fucking terrorist? Because these people shoot up schools. They shoot up Walmarts, they shoot up concerts, they shoot up, you know, you name it, man. These people are the real terrorists of the U.S. But they try and make it seem as if it's, you know, it's us black Hebrew Israelites, which there's no such thing as black Hebrew Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Because there's people that's in these camps or that are claiming to be Israelites that look just like this guy. Some even more whiter looking. So-called whiter looking, because they're actually pinkish to reddish in color. There's no such thing as white people. But we understand the attributes of Esau, because the Lord has given us a blueprint, and he has given us pieces to the puzzle as to who this man is. First off, the scripture says that Esau is a cunning hunter, that he's gifted with the sword, that he would live by the, you know, that he would have the fatness of the earth, you know, and that he would live by that sword. This man is you can't tell me he's not the guy that's you know, clearly the terrorist, man. You know, so, and I looked up what this is. It says nihilistic ideation. So I asked GPT what this is. It says suspect who bombed Palm Springs fertility clinic, see, an act of terrorism, believed it was morally wrong for people to have children, report says. Right. So when I looked this up, let's go into GPT. Nihilistic ideations, if I'm pronouncing that shit right, refers to thoughts that life is meaningless, worthless, or that existence has no inherent value or purpose. So when I read this, I'm like, yeah, this is Esau. You know, this is the spirit of Esau, the Edomites, man. It says these ideas are often associated with nihilism, philosophical belief that denies the existence of objective meaning, truth, and moral values. And that's Esau in a nutshell. It says in a psychological or clinical context, nihilistic ideation can sometimes be symptoms of severe depression or certain psychiatric disorders, major depressive disorder or schizophrenia. It may manifest as feeling like nothing matters, believing that life has no value, hopelessness about the future, in extreme cases, thoughts of non-existence or suicide. And the reason why a lot of people are like this anyway, it's a lot of people that you know, that feels as if life is just nothing because they don't have nothing to look forward to. Let's get Proverbs 29:2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. See? And there's one in, I'm trying to think how it was worded. I remember seeing it the other day. I was reading in the book of Psalms. Trying to think how it was worded, but it's got, because Esau, you know, Job, it goes off into this man being vile, man. Yep, this is the one I was reading. Psalms 12:8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. So you have the vilest men exalted in the earth, which is a so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? These damn Edomites. So you're not going to get anything out of that except for vile shit. You know, and again, it goes off into Job. It says he's viler than the earth. You know, and I had some, I had a couple of precepts on here in my notes. Let's go to, I put that one there. That was in my notes. Yep, let's get that one. That will be a good one. Precept. Baruch 4:31. It says, miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoice at thy fall. This is going off into these nations, especially Esau. They're miserable now because they rejoiced in the fall of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites. So now you're going through it. It says, miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. So America, you're going to see this place get a lot more miserable. People are through here, man. It says, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. See? For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. Can't get around that, man. That's a beautiful thing. And I had this one as well. Precept, Sirach, chapter 10, start at verse 1. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. You know, and you know, when it's going off into judge in the Old Testament as well, that lowercase g, God, you know, because, you know, when you look at these judges, senators, governors, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they will be in positions of, you know, being gods, you know? And so these gods, these judges, they don't, you know, they're wicked. They're vile people. So, of course, the people that they're ruling over are going to be wicked, too. They're accepting bribes. They're not about real, true justice. They don't give a shit about, you know what I'm saying, the poor. Scriptures talks about looking out for the poor and the widow, the needy. This man, he shits on the needy and poor in this world, man. It says, verse 2, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So it's a lot of wickedness, and that wickedness, it causes, you know what I'm saying, a lot of depression, man. And you know, Esau, he just didn't come up with scientific names for the shit. Really, it's just wickedness. It's just really them spirits, them demons is torturing their asses, man. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited, right? The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he was set up, he was set over it, one that is profitable. So that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on the Lord to set up that one which is profitable, which is our Lord Yahushua, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. See? And that's the true name of the Lord, Yahushua, which means that he's the savior or deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. And the true name of his son is Yahushua, which means that he's the savior or deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. Okay, so it just finishes out in Chat GPT. It says, if someone expresses or experiences nihilistic ideations frequently or intensely, it may be important to seek mental health support, especially if those thoughts impact daily functioning or safety. Well, hey, look, you're about to see a gang of that shit happen. And matter of fact, one of the things that Yahushua spoke of that will be happening before his coming, because the disciples asked him right here in verse 3. Matthew 24:3, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And I just want to jump to the point on this particular subject. Verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. See? Shit is just out of hand, man. People don't have no patience no more. You know, it's just, you could just see it, man, on people, man. People are depressed. They always walking with their damn heads down, you know. The only ones that's really walking around with a blank stare as to what's going on are, you know, a lot of these, you know, so-called teenagers, you know, that you just see them, they walking with, they got their phone, goddamn headphones in their goddamn ears. And a lot of the times those are the ones that be the most depressed, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? But they don't have that understanding of really getting out here in this world and paying a bill yet. So they kind of like borderline. I'm still a child, borderline. I'm going into adulthood. So they don't have that worry as of yet. But them, hey, they be wigging out too, though. Especially the ones that, that's in school. They don't get no recognition. They being so-called bullied, or they're being picked on. They don't have no social skills. They've been stuck up in the house and shit during this pandemic and shit. They don't know how to talk to people, and a lot of weirdos have been churned out, man. So anyway, we'll get into a little bit of the article. The headline says it all, but you can clearly see, again, this is not a color thing, because your seed line goes through your father. Whatever your dad is, that's exactly what he is, what the person is, or what the child is. There's no such thing as mixed. There's no such thing as biracial. There's no such thing as multiracial. You're not 10% this, 13% that, 25% this. That's all Esau's bullshit pseudoscience, man. You are what your dad is because you're a kid already in your dad's nutsack to begin with. That sperm, what they call spermo, those are already children. That connects with the woman's egg, you know what I'm saying? When sex goes down, the woman is considered to be like land or earth or soil. She gives that seed the nutrients that it needs to bring forth that seed. It's no different than planting any kind of flower, vegetable or fruit. The Lord didn't create, the Lord, Salakia, the Lord is not the author of confusion. It's confusion to say that you're 10% this, 25% this, 35% this. I'm 10% Irish. I'm 20% Zimbabwean. I'm 3% this, and then you got a smorgasbord. You've 100 this different fucking nations, all bundled up into one. I'm 1% this. Nah, that shit is confusion. And you can get that in the book of Numbers as far as like how your ancestry goes. The progenitor of your race would be your father. So whatever your grandfather was, your great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather, your great-great, all that goes back through men. Women have absolutely nothing to do with the determination of the ethnicity of a child. That's just not true. Esau and his damn science, man. But anyway, again, this is not a skin color thing, because this guy could be an Israelite. But the actions, we have to read the spirit. The actions, this type of spirit is Edomite spirit, man. Even though some Jake act like Edomites, so they move in the Edomite type of spirit, as they move about the earth throughout the day, acting like a goddamn idiot. But anyway, it says investigators in California identified the man who allegedly blew up a fertility clinic. And I'm saying, like, because Jake, I ain't heard of no Jakes blowing up nothing. Jake is terrorizing the neighborhood. They'll come through, shoot up a house. They'll do all kinds of crazy shit. But I ain't heard of no Jake putting together like, where did the motherfucker get the bomb materials from? How he even put this together to blow up a damn building? And this was a pretty decent explosion too, right? Because it says cops say they believe the suspect, 25-year-old Guy Edward Bartkus, died in the explosion. Officials responded to the bombing outside the American Reproductive Center's Palm Springs shortly before 11 a.m. This is why we say to pray too before you leave your house, man. You should be praying without ceasing. You think everybody that was there around this time at 11 a.m., they was probably just getting coffee. Motherfuckers probably just coming from down the street getting a bagel, rolling out of a McDonald's drive-thru and shit with a McMuffin, and just da-da-da-da, life is just whatever. There's nobody thinking about no motherfucker blowing a bomb going off at 11 a.m. in the morning. That's like a... That's gonna catch you unexpectedly. I'll just put it that way. On a Saturday, it says the intentional act of violence damaged several buildings, some severely, as far as several blocks away. So that lets you know this was a decent bomb. Who the fuck puts together bombs? See? These goddamn Edomites, bro. And you're not trying to tell me, like, you would have, I don't know. Maybe some, I don't know. Where the fuck you get the? I can't even believe, begin to even think on how to start to build a damn a BOMB. Where did you go? You went online. Would you think that with these algorithms in these sites and shit like that. Like, okay, this motherfucker researching how to. He probably asked Chat GPT. I think Chat GPT, they'll probably give you the info. I'm pretty certain they will on how to do it. And I know they had to, have it triggered somewhere. Like somebody's asking about how to build a. Where this motherfucker get this shit from, man? A few blocks away. That was powerful, bro. Okay, so it says no one other than Barkis died, but 4 others were injured. Okay. So they're going up. The subject had nihilistic ideations, and this was a targeted attack. Director in charge of FBI's Los Angeles field told reporters, "We believe he was attempting to live stream it, and yes, that is also a part of our investigation." Multiple reports say investigators are keying in on Barkis' social media posts that described him as a pro-mortalist, meaning he opposed birth without consent. Well, it's a lot of women out here. Hey, a lot of women, they have the choice. Well, every woman, they have the choice to abort a child, but the man has absolutely no say in none of that. Who knows? He probably, they'll probably find out that, some chick aborted his very first son or some crazy shit, and, probably wigged him out. Who knows, man, because again, all the power is in the woman's hand. Because even with a fertility place like this clinic, this right here is where they, you got these women, they're young, while they're younger, mainly so-called white women. A lot of so-called black women are not, Hispanics and Native American women are not into this, but it's a small percentage. But they will freeze an embryo. They will freeze their eggs, or they will do something like that when they're younger so they can just get their whole years on. And then, so they can have, when they get 40 or so, when they ready to just go ahead and have a child, you know what I'm saying? The shit is frozen. They can go back and they can, get that shit and basically make a baby. And that lets you know just how wicked this place is. Because in our kingdom, Salaki, we're going back to natural births, man. It's not going to be you have to go to the hospital. We're going to go back to having real midwives. You're not going to need a damn C-section. You're not going to need any of this man's medications. You're not going to be all fucking depressed. You're not going to be, and you're not going to know what your child is until the baby comes through. There's going to be that excitement of, oh, it's a little boy, it's a little girl. Not, you know what I'm saying, you going through and you taking a goddamn picture through somebody's stomach and you can see what the baby is. And now you already, you throwing these, blowing up shit and setting shit on fire with these gender reveals. Motherfuckers been a lot of crazy shit been happening with them gender reveals. Motherfuckers been dying, getting shot, getting, just everybody trying to do an extravagant gender reveal and fucking, burning down 20,000 acres of shit. Just crazy, bro. You go into some of them stories, you're just looking like, well, okay, well, what was so wrong? What's the problem with just waiting to just see? Oh, well, you can better prepare. Okay, well, it don't matter, man. It's nothing to go and because the baby don't need a whole bunch right off. You know what I'm saying? You get the little swallows. They need little Pampers. You know what I'm saying? They need their little, little things. It's not like they need to get geared up like they're going to a goddamn party. You can go in and get them clothing once you find out what the baby is. You know what I'm saying? Just whatever, man. So it says, okay, this guy, he supposedly had an AK-47 AR style inside of his the exploded car. We're working to learn more, but let me be clear, the Trump administration understands that women and mothers are the heartbeat of America. Yeah, right. Yeah. Y'all keep pushing that. Trump trying to get y'all women to have babies, though, at least the so-called white woman. That $5,000, man. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to throw y'all $5,000 like, hey, and he's trying to set it up where you women not going to have no choice but to get married as soon as you come out of high school. That's if you make it out of high school. Because they don't care about you really going to no school at all. Esau just trying to get his numbers back up. And he prefer those men being in charge like they were back in the days. And that's just not going to happen. So this place is chaotic. The shit is it's through anyway. And again, pray without ceasing, man. Pray before you leave your house. Because a motherfucker like this right here could roll up at any point in the game, anywhere that you at. And your ass is out of here, along with your kids, you know what I'm saying? Or where, I'm sure it was people just, because a lot of the times, these places, they be in like a little strip mall or something like that. So it's other businesses around. And he probably caught it early enough where, wasn't a lot of traffic around. But this shit is retarded, bro. But this is Esau. He's gifted with that sword. Don't forget that. And when he gets pushed into a corner, so to speak, or if he feels he's getting pushed into a corner, he'll break that sword out like it's nothing, man. And that's also, this is how we know that these are Edomites right here. Revelation 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. So when Esau is pushed into a corner, he always lashes out with the sword, man. It never fails. That's his go-to. If he can get it slyly where people are not seeing him, because he's a damn thief. He really would like to go undetected, but that's not happening anymore. This man is about to, even Trump, like this guy, man. All you have to do is just watch Fox Live or whatever. Just watch his live, when those reporters be asking him questions and shit in the middle of the day, and he'll let you know straight up he's a goddamn devil, man. He'll let you know. He's the fucking devil. Hey, he's one of those devils, man. And these Edomites, you see him bringing in these so-called white South Afrikaners. He's bringing in, if you notice when, they brought in a lot of Ukrainians too at one point, that was during Joe Biden's run. But they only allow so-called white people to come in here unscathed. They don't have to go through a whole bunch of paperwork. They go through the proper paperwork. But everybody that wants to come here goes through the proper channels. But they'll make it seem as if those people are just flooding the walls. They're flooding, they're breaking through, on the borders and this, that, and the third. But they're not talking about all these other races of people that's coming through there too. But when it comes to just allowing people to come into the country, they allow these so-called white people to come through here like it's nothing. They gave those so-called white South Afrikaners, they gave them emergency status, man. They brought them right on in. And so this is Trump, and this is the so-called white man trying to replenish the ranks, man, because they know that they're down. They know that their numbers are down. And then they also know as well that a lot of their men are LGBTQ. They have a lot of their men that's in prisons as well. They don't talk about that like that. They try and make it seem as if we're the worst people on the planet. But they're going through a low birth rates at a traumatic rate, man. Like that shit is not adding up. These people, that's why Trump is trying to offer those incentives. Like, he's trying to offer some money and offer this, that, and the third for women to have babies and shit. And we know who he's talking about. He's not talking about you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This motherfucker don't care nothing about you going to abort no baby. Are you crazy? He's talking about so-called white women so they can bring those numbers back up. And then you got a guy like this right here that's going against the plan. Because you think that this guy right here, you know what I'm saying, at that age right there, these young so-called white men, man, they should be out here pumping these women up. And they're telling you that they're Christians, but guess what? If Esau really was a Christian and he really believed in the scriptures, right here in America, they would promote and push through law that a man can have multiple women. But they don't want that for you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But see, Jake just out here having sex and busting anyway. But Jake just don't have in mind as to, he just fucking and just anything and just leaving his seed in anything. And those kids are just being raised up as, being unproductive citizens and just fucking monsters. See? So Jake is just really having a bunch of children in vain. But Esau, he wants to have children so they can, pretty much overall replenish the ranks, man, and keep some Edomites in power to keep their asses steamrolling along, man, with their racism, so to speak, or their lineage. And then you got these Edomites too. They understand, a lot of the elite ones, they understand that reincarnation is real. We need a so-called white man to bring forth children so they can bring us back to this motherfucker. During that third to fourth generation, we need to come back in our lot. If they're not having children, how are we going to come back in our lot? So, it is what it is, man. But I just wanted to point out the fact that, hey, Esau, this got to be an Edomite. This is Edomite action written all over it. And guess what? You're not hearing about it like that in the news like that. The average person not talking about this. I seen it because they had it live on, they generally have, those news conferences. The damn sheriff, you know what I'm saying? They'll go and get a haircut, get a fresh, crispy uniform, looking all crispy. If it's a woman, generally it's a bunch of damn women. They had their hair done, go and get their nails done. Girl, we about to be on TV. This is about to be televised, and they don't give a fuck about get to talking about how sorry they are for the victims. They don't really care, man. Anyway, I'm gonna end off there. It is what it is, man. Beware. We always say to never trust thine well, the scripture says to never trust thine enemy. So when you see these people out in public, man, just say you gotta really. I'm looking at these motherfuckers like for real, because you just never know what Edomites will do, man. These fucking Edomites are crazy. You just never know what they're gonna do, man. That's like the one that went and shot up that supermarket in Buffalo, New York. Talking about white replacement theology or some crazy shit. The other nations are starting to replace us. Well, motherfucker, you should have been out here fucking some of these girls and getting them pregnant and bringing helping your lineage, be fulfilled. You going to jail and laying up with a dude in a jail cell not going to help your race. You could have just been out here. You could have just been what they call a dog. You could have been pumping up. Man, he could have easily had 25, 30 kids by now. Easy. If he had the stamina, or if he got the, because the sperm count, which these Edomites, you know what I'm saying, they're low on that too. Anyway, though, I'm going to end out, man. I pray that the lesson was edifying with that. Kwame Yashala and a Bible ball.